All right, so then we have Tommy Tuberville. Now we're going to get into the topic of immigration. So let's talk about immigration for a minute, okay? Tommy Tuberville says, it's unfair Chinese students study in the U.S. and take everything they possibly can with them in terms of anything they learn. And as Call to Activism says, shout out to him, great guy. That's literally what education is. They come here, and it's just they're honing in on Chinese students. I wonder why. All these other immigrant children. No, they're worried about Chinese students. That's the whole point of the reason why they're here on a foreign exchange student visa, because we want to try to educate the world maybe and try to make sure that everybody functions the way it's supposed to function. And then we have this. Senator Moreno said, I'm going to call on all federal agencies to review the funding that we provide Cincinnati. For anyone unaware, there was a massive brawl that broke out in Cincinnati. The right is trying to say that it is racially motivated. I've not looked into the video. Nonetheless, he's saying, I'm giving the leaders of Cincinnati 1 month to come up with a plan to protect the civil rights of these citizens. And if they don't, I'm going to ask these agencies to suspend all federal funding, taking a playbook right out of the Donald Trump playbook. That's exactly what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump has sat there and refused to give federal funding over to California, especially after the wildfires. We can remember when Puerto Rico was going through a hurricane and Donald Trump held that funding. We can talk about the South Carolina hurricanes. That happened and they did not see like 99% of the funding. And then we see here Tom Homan saying 70% of everybody we're arresting right now is a public safety threat. The other 30%, well, that's national security. Yes, the mother who's going to the store with their child has not committed a single crime here in the United States, short of, if you want to say, crossing the border. Oh my God, has been arrested. We see numerous green card holders, numerous U.S. citizens that have been arrested. Please make the case to the American people how this is a national security threat, not just a local community threat. No, a national security threat. Please explain that to me, please. Then we saw that a federal judge has blocked Secretary Noem's move to terminate temporary status for Nicaragua, Honduran, and Nepali immigrants, finding the cancellation was likely rooted in racial animus. The freedom to live fearlessly, the opportunity of liberty, and the American dream, that is all plaintiffs seek. Instead, they are told to atone for their race, leave because of their names, and purify their blood. The court disagrees. Pending before the court is plaintiff's motion to postpone effective date. All right, so then we have this, a January 6th defendant. I think we're actually, we're moving on to some other stuff. So there's not a whole lot on immigration, but basically what I'm trying to get at here is that this is kind of going to the wayside a little bit with all the news with Epstein, with all the news surrounding the economy being in absolute turmoil, okay? And right now the world is at war, essentially. All that's kind of gone on the wayside with immigration, but they are certainly still out there. There are still ICE agents waiting right outside courtrooms to pick up innocent undocumented immigrants. Trump's entire presidency up to this point has been a play-by-play reenactment. Sure, Armageddon. I mean, I'm about to show you something that I invoked something. I'll show you in a minute. We don't want Americans in Canada. Please stay out. We don't trust you guys at all. Dan, I trust me. There are some decent Americans. Look at me, okay? I'm a decent American, although some of the MAGA people would probably beg to differ. The reality is that even tourism is down here in the United States. Okay, Las Vegas has seen stark declines in their tourism numbers. All right, we're going to go ahead and ban you. Thank you, Spectre. Crazy, bro. Crazy. All right. Let's see. Rearranging some things, half-truths, which is pretty normal. Sir, you're insane. I now live in Concord, North Carolina. Donald Trump doesn't control the weather, and he had nothing to do with FEMA because he was not in charge. That was Biden. I'm not talking about that, sir. Sir. Greg, let me go ahead and pull this up. South Carolina, I think it's South Carolina, did not receive, I think it's 99% federal FEMA funds. I think it's FEMA funds. Let's see. Oh, it's North Carolina. It was made in 27th. Here you go. Pull this up for you. Hold on 1 second. PBS is about to be, unfortunately, gone. So we can see here, North Carolina denied 99% of federal recovery funds for Hurricane Matthew as of May 11, 2017. That was 2017. Donald Trump refused to get funding. Okay. So next. You try that game. I promise you, I'm not going to say anything that isn't factual, but you can try. You can try to catch me off guard, and that's totally okay. Bro, so I went through your videos. Where were the videos complaining about Biden effing America up? Honest, legit question here. So first and foremost, I had only really started strongly streaming quite right around August of last year. I had done streaming on and off for the past couple of years, but never really consistently. And if you go through the videos, I can't point you to which one exactly, but I have been very critical of, for example, Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan in the terms of sending out stimulus checks. I don't think that helped this issue. I don't think it caused the issue, but I don't think it helped the issue. So again, you can go through my videos and try to find that if you would like, but they're there. More farms have filed for bankruptcy in Trump's first 2 months than a year on Biden. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to say that he's for farmers, but he's also harming farmers by, for example, tariffing countries that bring in feed for these livestock farmers or for certain fertilizer or certain ingredients that they need to be able to fertilize their fields and things of that nature, or even labor, quite frankly. Hey, guys, we got 200 people in here. Do me a huge solid favor. Please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. It pushes us out of the algorithm. If you feel like you're so inclined to go ahead and donate to me, by all means, feel free to do that. We do have a super chat goal going right now. So yeah, and it's going to end in like 17 seconds, but feel free to do that. Quit lying, you piece of crap. Congratulations, cats. What an enticing argument you've made. I'm so changed. MAGA's lost in the orange colt. These people will not get in until it affects them. Yeah, Bert, that's exactly it, right? Is that MAGA operates on this weird kind of environment that they love anecdotes. If it doesn't affect their personal life, they're so detached from reality, they have no empathy. They have no empathy. They don't care because it doesn't affect them. But the thing that they don't realize is it does affect them. It does affect them. Bro, that's one thing where was the vids about allowing all the immigrants in and doing nothing? Where was the vid Biden pardoned his son and how that was bullshit? So I actually did a video. I didn't do a video on the Biden pardons, but here was my take on the Biden pardons. He's allowed to do them, and that's it. He's allowed to do them. Like just like Trump was allowed to pardon a whole bunch of people. He's allowed to do them. You can say that it wasn't right, but if you want to talk about a conflict of interest, we are more than welcome to have that argument about a conflict of interest with Donald Trump. I am more than happy to have that conversation. Crops are now rotting in the fields because of Trump. Yeah, I've heard that too, Armageddon. They're just kind of sitting there. All right, let's continue on. January 6th, defendant convicted for the brutal beating of an MPD officer lost his bid to FOIA records about the victim officer, in part because Trump's pardon made it root. Webster, a former NYPD officer, had been sentenced to 10 years before the pardon. 10 years! And Donald Trump pardoned that criminal. He is no longer a criminal, but they pardoned him. Because Donald Trump doesn't care about law and order. We also saw Rand Paul saying on voting against the stock trading ban. By the way, there was a stock trading ban that was put into place into office, and I believe Republicans ended up striking it down. We discourage successful people from holding office if Trump were the next president. And some say he might run for a third term, he'd be forced to divest everything. He can't run for a third term. Donald Trump is old as shit. Tasteful explicitive. He is old enough as it is. There's no way he's going to, first of all, even if he could run for a third term, he can't. Okay? Like the idea, it's so hilarious to me to hear MAGA complain about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities when we're watching Donald Trump melt in front of our eyes. You do not have a clue on the message that you're sending out and what it's doing to this planet called Earth. I have no idea. Guess what? I'm a political pundit. You can just click next or swipe up and, you can go to the next video. More than welcome to do that too. I hope you find the light. I grew up as a Democrat. I'm an independent now, and I'm 64. You're a screaming 30-year-old. Hey, you actually got my age right, Greg. Welcome in. Hey, Matt, thank you for that subscription. Hey, Greg, so by the way, I voted for Mitt Romney in 12, okay? I voted for Donald Trump in 16, Ted Cruz in 18, Trump in 20. I did not vote in 2022, and I voted for Kamala Harris and Colin Allred in 24. So try to play that game. I grew up conservative. I was conservative for most of my life. You know what changed me to be a Democrat, a liberal, a dirty liberal? Guess what? It was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one who made me a liberal. I know. It's hard to believe. And it's so funny to me because the 64-year-olds are always the ones that are so ingrained in their ideology. They've spent 10 years buying all of their MAGA merch. They've probably got a signed picture of Donald Trump hanging up in their kitchen wall. And you're going to tell me I'm the one that's delusional. Got it. And we're talking about age. I had to look this up. So it's not really anything. There's just using this as a picture. Chuck Grassley's out here. Oh, he's mumbling his way through words. I'll let you play for a second.
What this Durham report is all about, and it gives information that Comey FBI had.
He just kind of stutters his way through it. Guys, he's 91 years old. I'm not even kidding you. Chuck Grassley was born in, I think it was 1933, guys. He is 91 years old. We need younger people in Congress. This is kind of my subtle endorsement of Isaiah Martin, by the way, who's running for the 18th Congressional District currently, unless Republicans decide to get their way in Texas and gerrymander the hell out of Texas. So here's Graham. We're not going to stop till the New York Times and Washington Post, who won a Pulitzer Prize for spreading bullshit. Yeah, give it back. Republicans are patently against the First Amendment. Let's be very clear here. They may say they love the Constitution. They may say that they love their First Amendment rights and they hate censorship. Guess what? It's projection. It's projection because they love to sit there. And by the way, Lindsey Graham, I think someone in chat said Graham the neocon. Yeah, the funny thing about Graham too is he's a war hawk. He went toe to toe with the former Russian president, and then Donald Trump went to bat for Lindsey Graham. And we'll get to that in a second. Should be coming up on the next one here in a second. We also saw for the Epstein files, senior officials at the FBI's Record and Information Dissemination Section, which handles the processing of FOIA requests, pushed back on the directives. This is according to the Bloomberg article. Michael Seidel, the section chief of RIDS, who worked at the FBI for about 14 years, was quite vocal. The three people familiar with the matter told me Patel blamed him for the failure to send all the Epstein files to Bondi. Then a couple of months ago, Seidel was told he could either retire or be fired, according to people. He chose the former and quietly let the FBI, the people said, the details related to Seidel's exit. So this kind of goes back to, again, the loyalty thing. And here it is where Donald Trump is going to bat for his boy, Lindsey Graham. Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, I've ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions. Donald Trump has positioned 2 nuclear submarines near Russia. What was that about Trump being anti-war? This sure as hell seems like provocation. When is MAGA going to sit there and realize that they got played? When is MAGA going to realize that all those jobs Donald Trump promised aren't going to come? When is MAGA going to realize that the anti-war president is drooling for war? When are they going to realize that the person that they wanted to vote against, which was Joe Biden because of his cognitive abilities, is now Donald Trump? They won't realize it. And then we get to this. The Trump's White House concrete rose garden patio is finished. Guys, this is what the rose garden now looks like. Not even a garden. It's a concrete slab. This is it. This is what was so great and so expensive on the taxpayer's dime. Matter of fact, how much did this cost? Let's see. Rose garden renovation cost. Let's see. $100 million. That's $100 million right there, guys. And this is what it looked like before. Here's before, here's after. Which one looks more pretty to you? I don't know about you. I kind of like this look. This looks a lot nicer to me. I like that one. This one, not so much. It looks boring. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell to get notified of all future videos. And I hope you watch the next video. Thank you so much.